Oh, wait. Crap. Okay, we're back.
Oh, we are back. Hello, everybody. It has been a minute, but welcome back. Welcome, my very good friend Dylan. Hello, sir. How are you?
Well, Zach, I'm doing all right. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Doing okay.
Good.
You know, life is that beautiful roller coaster, like most likely a 90s rock band sang about, but who knows?
I dislike roller coasters, but okay.
Honestly, I dislike roller coasters and I dislike a lot of 90s rock music about love and how they are like roller coasters. But yeah, either way, if you're watching or listening to this is Twitching UpStream, a weird show where some nobodies, myself and Mr. Dylan over here, and a couple of other nobodies, depending, where we kind of get together and we just make up weird stuff. We have a show sometimes. You can check that out on our YouTube channel called Talking UpStream, where we find cool creatives and then kind of pick their brain a little bit and then make up something cool with them. But we decided instead of just nonstop making up stuff, we should start developing, which is odd. I just said that because we're probably going to do something new today. But yeah, so we developed this show where we would take things and really just break it down and kind of hone it in and fine tune it with you. That's the thing. So if you're watching this live, whatever platform you're on, just comment something, just say something, let us know you're paying attention. And if you like or dislike how the story's going, feel free to comment. Let us know. We would like that. Now, before we get going with what today's story is, usually if I'm on here, I have some kind of nerd news, some nerd media junk that I consume that I text Dylan about and he does not respond to me. So I decide to kind of screenshot all those, seethe over them for a few days. And then on Tuesday, really kind of hold your feet to the coals, fire.
Yeah, either or.
Yeah, either or. So here's just some weird media stuff that came across my path today. Marvel news. Obviously, you know, we're in the middle of the what if, which is fine. It's fine. It's cool, but it's fine. But something really struck me. I saw that, you know, that a couple of years ago there was this deal that that Disney made with Hulu to put out kind of more adult Marvel stuff out on, you know, Hulu that, you know, wasn't going to be on Disney Plus, but at the time didn't exist. But they didn't really know what to do with it. So they created this thing called Marvel TV, and it was headed up by Jeff Loeb. And if that name doesn't sound familiar, one of your favorite comics, Dylan, one of your favorite Batman comics, I'll say, was written by Jeff Loeb. A comic that you are borrowing from me currently is written by Jeff Loeb. So he did create Long Halloween. He also did create Batman Hush. So he was in charge of Marvel TV, and at the time there was 4 new Marvel products that were going. They got pitched and were potentially greenlit. One was MODOK, which it was the only one to survive. One was called Tigra and Dazzler, which was obviously about those 2 characters. One was a Howard the Duck thing that was going to be run by Seth Green, and one was called Hit Monkey. Now, for some reason today I was looking around the news and I saw an early trailer for Hit Monkey. Apparently it made it through the fact that Marvel TV dissolved. Now, when Kevin Feige got promoted and he got put in like head of Marvel creative content, Jeff Loeb was not happy about that, and apparently he quit. Him quitting made Marvel TV dissolve. All those products kind of fell through, except MODOK, which was already half done. But yeah, so Hit Monkey, if you don't know about it, it is a like an Arctic monkey that has kind of an attitude, and he has a ghost human who follows him and they do some stuff together, and it's a very interesting concept, very, very cool comic, and I am very happy to say that this is going to come out in November 17th, and it's a cool little series. Check it out, Dylan, if you want to watch it eventually. Hit Monkey,
Okay.
really, I think it's right up your alley. It's, you know, those Arctic snow monkeys that sit in water. It's about one of them that has a ghost human as a friend, and they just go do stuff, and he's a sad, very angry monkey. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'll watch it.
Yeah, sounds great. All right, so DC news. I don't know if you probably don't follow as much as I do, but an image came out the other day that really ties the Flash and 89 Batman together. And I was really curious your point of view. Have you seen this image?
I saw it. It's the Flash symbol painted over a bat suit.
Yeah, so it is the Batman 89 bat suit, and it has been spray painted over top it red, and then there's a gold Flash symbol. And as we all know, the next Flash movie has Michael Keaton in it, and also a rumor that Ben Affleck's in it. And it's going to kind of be like a pseudo spin-off of Flashpoint Paradox to kind of twine everything. Now, the original idea was that Zack Snyder was taking over the DC, and Flashpoint was just gonna kind of be a very cool, kind of what Marvel was doing right now.
Yeah.
And then when the Snyder thing kind of fell through, they were going to use Flashpoint to fix everything and kind of put everything back the way that DC wanted. Now, apparently, the box set of this last Snyder Justice League has done so well with sales of Blu-ray and for the subscription to HBO Max that they have to now reinstitute the Snyderverse again. So now they're gonna have to use Flashpoint to kind of weave everything and then end up exactly where it's going to be. So I don't know if you know anything about that story or if you have any kind of points of view on what this image means.
It's Flashpoint, from what I understand, is the Flash runs so fast that he breaks reality a little bit for himself, and
mostly what the idea of Flashpoint is that he realized he can run fast enough to travel back in time, and if he can travel back in time, then he can save his mom from being murdered. The fact that his mom was never murdered set off a random chain of events that turned, it's a very cool story where Batman, instead of it being Bruce Wayne, now Bruce was actually shot by Joe Chill in the alley, which makes his dad turn
the Joker.
No, okay, his dad is Batman.
No. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but his mom is the Joker because she goes crazy that her son was murdered.
Yeah.
And everything is just really different and very crazy. But now they're going to do it again. So, I saw the image. I'm like, this is cool, but I don't know why. I don't understand it. I can't like glean anything off this image. I don't know why he would have a Batman suit with a Flash thing over it. It's not like the 89 Batman suit was time travel appropriate. I have no idea.
Well, the Flash has to wear suits that are friction resistant, right? Is the bat suit resistant to that in some way?
I mean, I don't think that it's up for, the speed of light friction resistant. So, I don't know. I saw it and I was just shocked and whatever.
If DC wants to do crazy high level batshit insane superhero stuff, because the MCU is a little more grounded now that they've gotten cosmic. It's a little less grounded, but like if they want to do crazy break reality in every movie and the stakes get so comically high that you just like whatever, cool. If it's a fun movie, I'm into it.
Okay, now let's hop back to Marvel for 1 second, only because we're talking about reality breaking. Now, the next Spider-Man movie, as we know, is No Way Home, which is going to go into the multiverse and everything else. Now, do you think there's any chance whatsoever that a scene or anything from What If will be in this movie as one of the universes? And or do you think that Cartoon Strange is Mephisto?
Okay. I guess I like the idea of Cartoon Strange eventually allying with Mephisto.
Yeah, because you did watch that episode, right, where he absorbed everything, and at one point he was a red-horned demon, and I'm like, are they making him Mephisto? That's crazy.
I wouldn't be surprised if Disney can't help but have What If tie into it, because it seems like they're kind of welding it as a series at least together, or at least they're hinting at it.
Yeah. Now the thing is, in the comics, Mephisto is such a big deal. He's the reason so much weird stuff happens. Now, because Disney has to work at a Chinese market, and you can't represent hell, you can't represent the devil. I think that this might be a clever way of making a Mephisto in the MCU and skirting around all of that other stuff. So, I'm interested in how that's going to work out. Although I am slowly becoming more and more disillusioned with the What If. I don't know what they're doing with it. I don't think they're tying it together. I think it's kind of fan servicey, and it needs to come into something. It needs to mean something somewhere.
I went into What If with really low expectations, and they've been kind of met, which isn't high praise, but at least it's not, each individual episode isn't bad. It's just okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like okay, cool. Okay,
that was cool. That was a fine half hour of television. I do not like the animation style, and I knew I wasn't going to like the animation style when it started. I saw the trailer, and I'm like, I do not like this overly smooth CG cartoon.
Yeah, I agree, but I will say that movement in this animation style is very nice. I don't like the style itself, but the way that they can depict movement, especially like smoke movement and like explosion movement, is very cool looking. But yeah, I was watching, I'm like, okay, but what is the point? Like, I get it, like that's how the comics were, but
I wonder if part of it isn't just that the MCU has become so interconnected that something that might not tie into it just doesn't fit anymore.
Oh, I don't mind it not fitting, but I can't really care about these characters. So, you know what I mean? Like they're changing it enough where it's like, look, I like that Peggy Carter became, Captain Britain. Super cool. Am I going to get more of that? Is there a continuation, or is it just like, oh, now are they throwing a bunch of stuff in the air to see what the fans like and then using that in different material? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to move forward. I want to get into some creative stuff, but some of the most important news in my world is tomorrow's big day. Tomorrow, September 22nd. If you don't know, Dylan, Star Wars Visions is finally here. And it is, I think, 9 episodes, right? 9 episodes, I think is what, it's a 9-part kind of a mini series thing that are really not connected whatsoever. They're not even connected by art style. Have you seen any of the trailers for Star Wars Visions?
I have. It is the most excited I've been for a Star Wars property since Disney bought them. I am 100% on board for like and it explores the potential of like what you can tell in a Star Wars story. It doesn't have anything to do with the established canon. I'm 100% on board, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I'm loving the different styles of animation, the different like color palettes they're using. They took they gave all of the rights to a bunch of awesome animators in Japan. And they said, tell whatever stories you want. So tomorrow, they're actually, and the thing is about this, they're dropping all 9 episodes at once. So we don't have to wait like weeks and weeks and weeks for this. But the downside is that they're kind of shorter episodes. I think the shortest one is 13 minutes. The longest one's 22 minutes, which sounds kind of, I'm still into that. A couple of the episodes that really stood out to me that I'm really interested in. One's called The Duel, and it's about these 2 Sith warriors and them fighting each other. One is called TOBI, which looks like an old style Astro Boy, like that kind of Astro Boy style art. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. One is called Oppenko, and it's a fable based Star Wars, where it's almost a story inside of Star Wars, and they're going to introduce this new rabbit eared alien, which I'm pretty excited about. One's called The Twins, and it's about, and this one I think you'll be the most interested in. So it's about these twin Sith pilots that have fused together 2 Star Destroyers, and they co-pilot this put together Star Destroyers. And I think the one that I'm most excited about is called The Ninth Jedi, and it's about a sabersmith who makes lightsabers, but during the time where being a Jedi is illegal. So it's like an underground black market, sabersmith for like cool danky Jedi. So I'm super into that. And yeah, and it's cool that like they're going everywhere from like rock opera all the way down to like one of the stories is the idea that this droid has a dream and it wakes up and it tries to figure out what the dream meant, which is right up our alley, so I'm super excited to really just consume this. Okay, last news. Don't know if you know about this. Straight up science nerd news, not media stuff whatsoever. Apparently, there is a chance that there is a 9th planet in our system. Now, there's this weird celestial body that's way out there past Uranus. I'm not making some kind of Pluto joke. Pluto is a dwarf planet, whatever. Apparently, this thing is, I think, 3,200 times the size of Pluto, which was declassified in 2006 to being a dwarf planet. But currently, they're calling this thing Planet X or Planet 9. And what it's doing, it's so big out there that it's making kind of Uranus wobble a little bit, which is pretty interesting. Now, this thing is, they say it's 5 to 10 times the size of Earth, which is cool. And it's also about 300 to 800 times further away from the sun than the Earth is. So it's a very, very huge planet that really can't have any heat or any, light whatsoever. So it's pretty interesting. How do you feel about the idea of a new planet in our solar system?
I remember way back in like 2006, a friend of mine got really into the conspiracy theory that Planet X was going to complete its like 32,000 year orbit through our solar system and throw the Earth off its axis. And he was so convinced that NASA and the governments of the world were hiding it from the public because it would cause panic, and that 2012, December 21st, was going to be the date that the Earth started being affected. I don't know where he is right now.
John Cusack stopped that from happening.
Yes. I don't know where he is now, but I win.
Hey,
we're still here.
We're here.
And
every single Mayan calendar is broke in half and a little bit of light popped out of it. Yeah. So
I love the idea. Sure.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Excellent. All right. Cool. So stay tuned for Planet X and Elon Musk eventually trying to own it. So let's get into what this show really is, which is content creating. Last couple times that I was on here, I'm not really sure exactly what Dylan pulled off last week, but we were working on a story called Force Limit, and it's a pretty interesting story about robots. And I was going to go back into it, but I figured I took a couple weeks off from this thing, and I had this weird idea a while ago, and it's been festering, so I kind of added on to it. So I'm going to just present Dylan with a brand new idea that is based on a little bit of old material. So and it's superhero based. So Dylan, if you're ready, here we go.
Let's do it.
Now, if you're watching this, please hit like or subscribe. And once again, if you're watching this live on any platform, just feel free to comment. Let us know how you're feeling about the story we're making, or any ideas or anything that we should just change, or how much you like Dylan's art choices in the background. Okay, so a while ago, I told you this idea that I had about this person who shops at a thrift shop often, right? And they every once in a while, they go every day, but every once in a while they find something really super cool and it's really cheap. So I had this idea one time of going to a thrift shop and then finding these really pristine, realistic looking BB guns that look like just two like desert eagles, and then just being so like enthralled with how like, oh my god, these things are so realistic, and then leaving the thrift shop and being oblivious to the world, just looking at how interesting and realistic, and they must be movie props, who knows, right? And you happen to bump into like a mugging or a robbery or something, and because you have these two huge realistic looking weapons, the robber's like, oh my god, no, dude, no, you're fine, sorry, and he does that thing. Now you get so pumped up that you want to become a superhero. You're like, yes, I can do this, I have this in me, right? So I was kind of sitting with that for a little bit. And then I was thinking about writing a comic series that was really based on failure, and like lighthearted and the acceptance of failure, but constantly failing, but then getting yourself back up again. So I thought if that person went out the first night as some sort of superhero that they created and they failed miserably, right? So that's first night failure.
Okay.
They decide I need a sidekick. I need a Robin. Right. So they go out and they try to find somehow a superhero friend, and they go out together and they fail. But they don't think they're their fault. They just need a team, right? The X-Men have a team. They need a team, not just Batman, Robin. They need a full-on Justice League. So they go and they start getting more people together. Now, as a team, they fail again. But they decide it's not their fault. That they need like a mentor. They need their Professor X. They need someone who could, really hone in their skills together and teach them how to do that. And then once that happens, then they fail. So then I was like, wow, I can go down all the normal comic tropes and how this team gets there but fails. So then I was like, cool, they need to find a prophecy. That's what it is. They don't have a prophecy to follow. And okay, yeah, actually they don't have an arch enemy. They need an arch nemesis or whatever. So then I started thinking, okay, how do I build this team of there's so many superheroes out there and so many like powered individuals that I needed to create some new people, right? So, so I already pitched to you the one idea about this guy who's a thrift shopper. Now he's like the nothing guy. I think he's going to eventually be the man in the chair or something. I have no idea, or just a Batman,
like fake Punisher.
Yeah, sure. Fake Punisher without the children or the desire to hate cops. Well, he probably has that
beyond the normal desire.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's one of our characters, right? And then I don't know if you remember, but I kind of threw this weird idea to you a little bit ago, and so I created this character and I called him Lumberson, right? Lumber. So what I had was, so this guy, this kid, he's a kid, right? Most of them are kind of like kids or 18-year-olds. So his dad is like the best lumberjack ever. And he's got this cool axe that he's had forever. And he just knows how to chop trees down and knows how to do lumberjack stuff. For whatever reason, and I haven't figured this part out yet, and we can get to it, but the mafia decides to put a hit out on Axeman, right? So they find him in the woods when they're camping. It's just him and his son. And he's, Axeman, chop, chop, and he's just getting all the mafia guys to chop, chop. And then there's one huge 8-foot mafia man that just will not get taken down. And he kills the dad, right? And now the lumberjack is dead. The son who's there tries to grab this axe, and it's just so heavy, and he can't really do it. And he swings around, like whatever that discus thing or whatever. Yeah. And he chucks this axe, and it hits right into a tree, but through this tall guy's like leg, right through his hip or something. Right. So the guy, because he's super strong, whatever, and he just punches down this axe and he breaks this axe in half. And now it's this weird just hunk of metal. So after the kid somehow subdues and kills this 8-foot tall man without any information on why they're there, he takes the broken axe tip and then uses the bad guy's femur as a hammer. And that's like his weapon, is just this bloody broken axe bone hammer. And now the son of the lumberjack, Lumberjackson, I don't know, whatever. Now he's on a mission to find out why his dad was murdered by the mafia of West Des Moines. Okay. Cool. Then I started thinking, so I was like,
I want
okay.
to say, the axe head with the femur as the haft is that's pretty badass.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. So I was like, okay, now I have a weirdo that's like the psychotic, and that's the first person. Then I have the very motivated person with the beautiful weapon, right? So it's like, cool. And I have 2 of these characters. Then it's like, what else do you need? It's like, I need a weird power, like an actual superpower. Then I had this idea, and I don't know how to work this in, but I think I figured it out. It's one of 2 things. So I had this idea of a person who falls asleep. Now, because the earth spins at roughly 1,000 miles an hour, right? Once this person falls asleep, they kind of unlock themselves from gravity, but not all the way, enough to just stop them from going with the earth. So they stay still, like as the earth spins around them. So if they sleep for 2 hours, technically they would have gone 2,000 miles away from their house. And then they just pop back into existence. And I was like, how do I do this? Because the idea at first was like a person that wakes up in a new bed every single day. Then I was thinking if we could pull back old school style thinking and go into Egyptian curses, right? So
Okay.
you have Egyptian thread cursed. So everywhere that's the same. So there's this cursed thread that has this weird Egyptian curse that whenever he falls asleep, he wakes up on a different mattress that has so that was my first idea, but I think my second idea is just staying on the same latitude, and then just like, so if he sleeps for like 15 minutes, he has gone roughly 250 miles, and that'd be a really interesting way of maybe teleporting, where like, say if you can make yourself fall asleep and you sleep for 1 minute, you'd be able to teleport into certain things, but that would need his team to knock him out, and then with timers set, which I think might be kind of interesting. And if we don't explain where the power comes from, that might be kind of cool too.
So far, this is turning into like this weird kind of grindhouse, low power justice, like, justice society, and I love it. The idea
cool.
of the curse of Egyptian cotton sheets is something about that is so funny to me.
Yeah, it's so stupid and so funny, and I like the idea of like, so where that guy came from. I had this idea of like waking up the day of your 21st birthday, and you're just in a brand new bed, and you're like, where am I?
Yeah.
And you have to like break out of the house, right? But then cutting like the next page is day 49. Now, by this point, you've woken up in so many different beds that you start putting things in your pockets to secure your safety in the morning.
Yeah.
So you would need like things in case you wake up in the winter, or in case you wake up in the ocean. And I had this guy who has like the, this vest and these cargo shorts, and just with all things, and he just wakes up in different places. So I thought it's an interesting way of doing teleportation. So he only stays on the same latitude, just whatever,
distance. The Earth just rotates beneath him.
Yep.
So does that mean that he can only teleport in the direction the Earth is rotating?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So he has to be really careful about not waking up in the Atlantic Ocean or something.
Exactly. So he has to time his sleeping perfectly to make sure he knows roughly where he's going to wake up, or how long to sleep exactly to wake up in the same place that he fell asleep. So I think that's an interesting thing to do, is mess around with your time.
Yeah.
Okay, so now there's that person that has a weird power that's unexplained, but they just have it. Then I started thinking, I need an animal in here, right? You need like an animal or like just a non-human thing. I came up with this idea of a husband and wife scientist team that has really figured out the way to put consciousness into other living beings, other humans, and they wanted to make sure they can keep themselves alive for whatever. Now, some foreign government officials found out that they know this technology and they want to silence this team. So they go to shoot the dad or the husband first, and as he's dying, the wife takes the consciousness, and the only thing that she can find close is the house pet. So she grabs the dog, puts the dad's consciousness in there. Now, before she can like figure out a way to make like a vocal transmitter, she gets killed. Unfortunately. Right. So now we have this dog, this house dog, that has the brain of a scientist, but no thumbs or a way to speak to anybody, but just has all this knowledge. And he just has to find out how to do something with it. Maybe because the wife's consciousness is in the computer waiting to put into something else. So who knows? And I thought that was kind of interesting to have a super smart dog and a way to have that, or any animal, really. No,
I love it.
And let's see.
I like that his goal is like, I have a copy of my wife's profile and I need to get her into a body similar, like preferably human, and it's like, oh, you're so cute. It's like bark, like, you hear its thoughts, and then it's like it goes to the other person's point of view, and the dog just barks.
And I think that I had another one, but I left my notes in the other room. So, like I said, and I thought that we would need, and I haven't fleshed this character out whatsoever, but we would need a time displaced person, like an old person with, and that's what it was. It was, it was somebody who had Benjamin Button's disease, right? So as they're kind of an infant, but as an old man, they have to hang out with this team because eventually the team needs them to learn what it's like to be a real superhero. So when they're in shape, they'll be an effective superhero. So a baby old man that is just training. And I think that might be it so far. I feel like there's one more, which I do not remember right now. But yeah, so I'm going to take one quick break to get some water because I've been talking for 20 minutes straight.
Go for it.
Think of this idea. Now, kind of start I think what I want to do is, like I said, have an episodic, maybe 8 episodes, and I want it based on normal comic tropes, and I would like it really focused around the failures and then how that person slash team overcomes each failure and then devises a new scheme to get past that. So I'll be, give me 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you're good. I'll put this doc up. All right, so hey, we're back to doing, you know, this Twitching UpStream thing that we do sometimes, where I share a document on screen. So right now, this is just how I set up a framework. Zach said he wanted episodic, 8 episodes, so I'm setting up some really basic info here. There's probably an easier way to make it automatically populate this, but I only know how to do that in like Excel and Google Sheets. So got episode 1, episode, etc. So traditionally, how this would probably go: origins of everybody, then forming the league. First major failure. Forming the league. First major failure. Learning from first failure. Then probably episode 8 at some point. If you do enough failures, it's probably going to get tiresome. But I think the entire goal is for that. Learning failure isn't the end. Then catharsis and resolution. So let's see. We've got fake gun Punisher. We've got Lumberjackson. That's 2. We've got Sleep Teleporter. We've got husband and wife team. We've got Benjamin Button person. So that's 6 people. So what we can do then is have each of these middle episodes focus on a character, and then the first and last ones are kind of like as a team, or at least have that as the point of view. Or we can come up with 2 more characters and figure out, like, I don't know, what we want. Let's see. There we go. Slash. Cool. And then let's see. So we've got husband and wife team. The husband and wife team, that we can count that as 2 characters. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. We've got enough to kind of hang out, I suppose. Let's see. It's probably a good idea to figure out what kind of issues these guys face, and if we want them to have their own little like single episode. So, guy buys and becomes fake Punisher. He stops mugging by faking his guns working. Let's see. We've got Lumberjackman. Obviously, man's father was killed by the mafia. Now he gets revenge with the femur axe. We need some sort of crime for the sleeping guy to come up with, or at least fight.
Hey-oh.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So I did some really basic layout stuff. We have about 6 characters, assuming that the Egyptian cotton curse guy and the person who falls asleep and teleports guy are different superheroes. Or the same superhero, just with, I don't know.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure. I think it's the same person. I wasn't really sure what to do if they needed a real origin. Like, all right, so if initially they were all individual comics, right? And okay. I went and grabbed my notepad real fast just to make sure I didn't miss anybody. And I have a little more information on some of these people.
Cool. I did have the thought. One trope we're missing that's kind of a Silver Age superhero trope: power twins. So we could have power twins who have similar bed powers. Yeah. Where one person teleports. They both have teleportation when sleeping powers. One teleports across the world's surface. One teleports bed to bed. If we want to have both of them.
There we go.
So that way we can have another character in there.
Love that. Also, I had named this group, right? Just so you know, I had named it Gods of Avery Place or Averywhere, or Averyville, something like that. No, but it's a G.O.D.S is an acronym, right? Now it stands for Group of Defenders or Supporters. And they don't realize that they called themselves gods, but they've stuck with it now because they have stickers. Now, yeah, Averyville, Avery Place, if we wanted to make it a fake place, or if we wanted to do West Des Moines, because obviously we're mega fans of West Des Moines, which is always funny.
I really like the name Averywhere.
Yeah.
I just think that's a really good, like, if we call it like the city of Avery, and we just call it Avery or Averyverse or something, Everywhere. I think Everywhere is better.
All right, so here's a little more information that I have on some of these characters. Let's see here. I even have some illustrations, if I may, because I found a very nice drawing pencil, so cool. I wanted to use it. Okay, so each of these people, I also wrote them as their own individual comic. That way, their comic would go until they teamed up, and then their comic would stop, and then it would be part of the initial comic. So, the one where the dog. Now, this one I had called Manny's Best Friend, because I think that's a stupid, clever name. Also, I don't really know how to draw dogs very well, because that one looks like a cat, and that's stupid. But yeah, so Manny's best friend, and like I said,
dogs are better than I draw.
Yeah. So this is so the wife's name is Amanda Betterman, right? AKA Manny. Now wife accidentally puts husband's conscience into the family dog, and his name is Philip. I'm sorry, Filbert P. Betterman. Cool. His friends call him Phil Better. Now as a dog, that's the name of the dog, right? Filbert P. Betterman. K9 Esquire. That is the family dog's name. Now they have to go by that because he has a tag and he can't take it off because he has thumbs.
Yeah.
Now I wrote down that the wife had a heart attack when she realized that her husband was now stuck forever in a dog. But I think it might be better that her conscience is safe somewhere, and then the dog, Filbert, needs to solve that murder, that mystery. Yeah. And figure that out. Okay, so then I had the person that goes into they get realistic pellet guns and then inadvertently stops robberies, calls them to become a hero, fails first time, gets sidekick, fails second time, gets team. We already went over all that. The thrift shop that he goes to is it's called Redo Thrifts, just so you know. I'm not sure why I had that, but yeah, I really felt that failure was a really cool topic.
Yeah.
Now, initially I drew this one to be Lumberson because I like it to be similar to Cumbersome, you know. But as it was Lumber Jackson, I think that's better. So as you can see, this is the big bad guy, and he has this axe right into his leg. And this is blood squirts out. Yeah. It makes a big thunk here. Now with his bone, dad's axe, that's the new tool. So he's just like this a menacing 16-year-old with an attitude and this crazy weapon. And let's see. So the one that is, if it were an Egyptian cursed cotton, the one that a good name for that comic that I came up with is called Thread and Thrum, which now that they're twins might be way better, because
I really like that title for some reason. I don't know why. It sounds like a story that would be like about occultism in the 1920s.
Oh, right on.
I don't know why.
Yeah, well, thread and thrum is a pretty classic sewing idiom where the thrum is the frayed things that usually get cut off of as you're making garments. So I thought that'd be kind of cool that if it were about cotton and the mistakes of a curse, but now that it's twins, I think that works even better as a title. So yeah, there is that.
What if Thread is the one who moves in a straight line across the surface of the planet when he teleports, and Thrum is the one who just kind of like scatters all over?
Dude, that is so cool. And then the person that, I guess one of the two of these, right? At first, the story was, like I said, that they were waking up in different beds and then having to get out of that situation every single day. I thought that was such a weird thing. So his name, or their name, is Derald, Derrald, and it goes by Derry for short. Derald Felton. Now we can name the twin, whatever. Yeah. Now, Derald Felton, he's born on April 2nd of 1980. April 2nd of 1980. And on April 1st of 2021 is when he wakes up in the wrong bed for the first time, thinking that it was a prank, trying to figure that out, et cetera, et cetera. So, but I also thought that that person should have some pretty interesting features, being that at some point you wake up in somebody else's bed, you're probably going to be attacked. You might be able to get out of most of them. So what I had drawn in here, I thought it'd be interesting that if he had a pipe scar, like he got hit like straight on with the end of a pipe over his nose. And then also one time he woke up in a forge and fire competition and got hit with a scalding hot billet that is in the shape of a wicked ass knife. So he has like a weird knife shaped burn and then a pipe scar over his nose. And then the other one who wakes up laterally, I don't know. They would have some weird scars just from like nature, whatever. Yeah. But I did find out that we are roughly on the same latitude as the city that I was raised in, Northeast Maryland. So that's pretty interesting that I actually moved the same latitude just halfway across the country. But okay, so yeah, that's where I'm at. Now, what were you working on when I was away for a couple seconds?
So I did a little bit of structure stuff. I thought if we have Lumberjackson, Thrift Punisher, Thread and Thrum, Manny's best friend, and I guess Mandy and Filbert. So that's, I think, 7. I think it's Mandy, Filbert, Thread, Thrum, Punisher, Lumberjackson. 6.
6, yeah.
So what that leaves is 1 issue per character, so 6 issues.
Yeah.
And then 2 issues for either like a big 2-part Justice League style ending, where they all get together and you have a 2-parter to tell a long story, or a collected origin and a collected ending. I figured a structure similar to that in either one of those would work. It depends on how big you want that final one to be.
Well, I like that. Now, I do think that we might need 1 more team member, and then we're going to need, ultimately, the leader / mentor character, which could really be the same character. But I feel like 7 is a solid number, and not just because of Justice League. I think that, like, and I haven't really gone down the statistics, like, which, character are we missing? So I figured, like, we could kind of fill that in also. And I wanted to tell this story in a slightly different way than most comics are. So I wanted to kind of do it, and the best way I can describe it is the beginning of a solitaire game, right? So each one.
I forgot about Benjamin Button disease person.
Oh yeah, that was just an idea. I like a displaced character for some reason, although that one technically isn't displaced. It's more their body's displaced than their attitude. But okay, so every of the team have their own issues, right? So every single one has an episode 1.
Yeah.
By episode 2, 2 of the comics have merged. 1 goes away. By episode 3, another one goes away, right? So at the end, we've had like whichever one we decide to do at the end, like say Thread and Thrum, has 6 of its own issues before they team up. One of the team has 5 issues before they team up. One team has whatever. So like the way we kind of build it, the same thing where it's like if the first one's built on failure, and then he needs they need their sidekick, then whatever that one issue is, that one would dissolve. That sidekick would go into his the leader's comic. What do you think about that?
I like it. So it would be like issue 1 follows 1 person. Then issue 2 features a new person and someone else gets their issue 2.
Right. So everyone gets an issue 1.
Yeah.
right? So there'll be technically 6 or 7 issue ones. Right.
Yes.
So there's Thread and Thrum, there's Thrift Shop Punisher. Each one of these people get their own episode 1. Now, the main character, which is most likely Thrift Shop Punisher, they all get episode 2, except for one of the team members. They are now the sidekick in Thrift Shop Punishers because he just recruited them. So now their comic just got folded into his comic. So they don't get an episode 2 on their own anymore. They're now part of his story, right?
Okay.
So now we have 6 comics that have episode 1, 5 comics that have episode 2.
Gotcha.
There'll be 4 comics that have episode 3.
Okay, cool. So there'll be like 7 issue 1, 6 issue 2. Someone becomes a sidekick. 5 issue. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Team building start, the team building can be episode 3, and that way, like, that's one of the 2 people or one of the other comic folds in. While they're still recruiting team members, episode 5 could be the mentor character. That's why their comic folds in. Episode 6 could be the one of the other tropey things, such as the prophecy, because that's the last one I can remember. And as they're looking for a prophecy, they also gain another member into their group. That's why their comic folds in. Yeah, I think this is weirdly interesting to me. How do you feel?
I like it. I don't know that I've seen that structure before.
Yeah, it's almost the opposite of what happened with comics, which is like, oh, people like X-Men. Well, let's give them 9 different X-Men titles. This way it's like, oh, you guys like these stories? Well, eventually you don't need to buy them all. You can just get this one, which is where it's at. Okay, so if you like that style, right? Is this cool with you so far?
I'm 100% in.
All right, cool. So this is the Gods of Avery Place collection is what this is.
Okay.
And or Averywhere or whatever you whichever one you like better. Now I think that, like I said, episode 1 of Thrift Shop Punisher, whatever we want to call him, that one seems pretty clear. Obviously, they're all origin stories. That seems. So let's just work on origins, right? Because that's an easy thing to figure it out. And I think I already went over what the origin of Thrift Punisher. That just doesn't roll yet.
No, it doesn't.
Antique Punisher.
I don't think Punisher is part of it.
Oh yeah. Antique Enforcer. No, wait.
How deep do you want the failure to run? Because if he fails to name himself, that could be pretty funny. So
the way I was starting to write episode 1 was, this guy is a comic book writer in himself and a failed comic book writer, but he has one of his only t-shirts that he made of his own superhero. So when he's in a mugging, he gets called the superhero that's on his shirt. So he adopts that title. So we can just make up whatever. And I think that I called that one Zephyr, because I was really trying to work on like a Z logo, because I don't know why, obviously. And I think it's funny that, like, wait, you're just named after like a gentle wind? And it's like, look, I'm everywhere though.
I'm more than a light breeze.
Yeah. It's like, actually, I think you are exactly a light breeze.
I'm a stiff breeze.
Yeah. So I think that what happens with Zephyr as he's going through is he acquires more things that he finds cool that ends up being armor or weapons, which adds on to. So every episode, I would like him to have a different, like, addition to his armor, weaponry, something,
Yeah. He he gets hockey pads.
Yeah, obviously. And maybe like a obviously, if you say like a hockey mask, that's way too obvious. So maybe he eventually gets, like, the only thing he can find is a helmet, is one of those like double drinking helmet with the straws. But he puts, like, I don't know, straight adrenaline in one side and something else.
Just Four Loco from like 2009.
Oh, love that.
Set it back in 2009, so everything's a little antique or a little vintage, and have it be like old school, those dangerous Four Locos.
Yeah, and they all just watch the original Iron Man. They go, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so easy origin there.
We got it.
What origin do you want next?
I mean, let's just go down the list. I think the next one we have listed is Lumberjackson, which we kind of already have figured out.
Yeah. So I don't know how old you. Okay, how old would you like Zephyr to be to make this as funny, but also relevant? Like, I guess he needs to be older than 16, but younger than 28, right?
Well, if he's a failed comic book writer, that means that he's probably tried for a little while, right? So like mid upper 30s.
Okay, sure. I want to make sure that if he's hanging out with like kids, it just didn't feel that weird. But I guess there's gonna be a mentor eventually. Okay, cool. So
it's a superhero team. That's not completely unusual.
Yeah, true. Okay, so Lumberjackson. Now, their name, obviously, the last name's Jackson. That seems pretty easy.
Oh.
His name is Zack Jackson.
Zack Jackson. Jackson.
My friends call me Zach, though. Why?
I don't like the name Jackson.
Yeah. All right. And his dad, or mom,
I'll distinguish
whoever
him from you with an H.
Thank you. Yeah. Now we can also not like him if we don't need to. Yes. Now their parents or guardian is the ultimate lumber jack, right? There's something very funny about like the CIA having a lumberjack, and I don't know why, but it's like a government sanctioned, like there's only special
keeping an eye on the revolutionary elements of the lumberjacking.
Yeah, it's like you have no idea how bad this piracy is, and it's like, well, why can he cut down trees? And it's like, God damn it, he has to.
Don't worry about it.
He went undercover for 13 years.
Yeah.
Either way,
CIA undercover lumberjack.
Yeah. Now he was given this ancient axe though, from a Canadian forest tribe that he inadvertently saved from commercial log flogging. Is that a thing?
All I can imagine is them just removing the bark from trees and like a single tear.
Is that the nemesis, the log flogger?
The log flogger.
Okay, so and like I said, the one night the lumberjack parent doesn't take a lot of days off, right? They're very heavily involved with the ins and outs of the CIA lumber trade. They get one night off, and it's the child's birthday. And the only thing the kid wants to do, although the lumberjack does not want to do, the only kid wants to do is just go camping. Just make some s'mores, light a fire, maybe fish, who knows? But in the middle of the night, for some reason, I don't know how they know, but the anti-CIA mafia, they found out where old lumberjack was.
And Canadian mafia?
Yeah. The Maple Mounties.
They're all Maple Mounties.
Well, I know, but that doesn't make them. Okay, so yeah, a huge John Wick style fight happens with this beautiful ancient style axe, and and things are going down. But then in the shadows, there's one very large man, and he comes out, and he has mini tree trunks as brass knuckles. No, strapped on.
Sorry, he's got arms that are he's got tree trunk prosthetic arms.
Yeah, he was an ex pirate, but he kept his legs.
Oh
he has peg arms, made from whatever like the elephant ivory of the tree world is. What is that, like is that some kind of redwood? It's like like the oldest bonsai. The oldest bonsai found on the planet, and he carved them down into wooden arms that are always fists. the log flogger. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's crazy. I like that though. All right. So yeah. So as you know, Chris Pines comes, kills the dad. Dad's dead. Everybody's dead. It's just a child. and a log flogger left. Child goes to grab this very weirdly shaped, long-headed axe. It's just heavy, mostly because of the stone handle, but whatever. It's just it's a heavy old weird axe made of fossilized maple, and that'd be weird, right? Like amber, but like old syrup,
petrified wood.
Yeah, and there's like a beaver tail in it or something. Petrified wood. Yeah, that's even better.
Or a fossilized beaver tail that's been sharpened. It's kind of shaped like an axe blade.
Hey, that ain't bad. We'll get to that. So, like I said, whips this thing around, like takes 3 or 4 swings around, lets the axe go, top of the thigh, chops the log flogger's both legs off. Right? Because he doesn't have any arms.
Yeah.
They're just pines. So, and he's like, not like a pirate, just he's in pain. And so now he doesn't have any legs, pines for arms, but in fists, which is cool, and muscles. Yeah. And so now he slow dies just from blood loss, because obviously you can't cut your legs off. But for him to get out, he has to punch the axe down and not only break one of his pine hands, but also breaks the axe and turns it into a hammer piece.
I think the log flogger should be a recurring nemesis for Lumberjackson, where he comes back with wooden legs as well as wooden arms.
Cool. All right, so he cuts off one leg. That makes more sense.
Okay. I mean, it's a comic book. We can have him chop both legs off and be like secreted away.
Well, no, because one leg makes sense, because then that would be his final limb, and he probably has some emotional attachment to that limb, which would make a big deal later on when Jackson's like, I'm taking that limb.
He doesn't bleed out because he has the power to make his blood slow down like maple syrup.
Love it. Love it. All right. I'm into that totally. Okay, so that's his that's Lumberjackson's Zack Lumberjackson. That's his origin. Okay. What's next?
We've got, let's see. I mean, we're just going in order. Thread and Thrum, or Mandy's Best Friend, or Time Displace Benjamin Button.
All right, Thread and Thrum. So these are twins, right? They are twins, and they have gone to every grade and every school trip together. The final school trip, which happens to be on a Friday the 13th in the 80s or whatever.
This is Thread and Thrum?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Is to Egypt. And in Egypt, they, as twin 17-year-olds or whatever, 16-year-olds, because they probably skipped a grade, because cool people like Zach Wiseman skips grades. So they're in Egypt for their senior trip, and they hear about this special market, right? That most tourists, they're not supposed to know about. Now, when they get to this market, I'm literally making this up as I'm speaking.
That's perfect.
Just so you know. So they get to this market. Now, this market doesn't take any form of money, right? It only takes some sort of contract. But nobody there speaks English. These twins do not speak anything but English. So they find this beautiful, beautiful thread, or this beautiful fabric that they want to maybe give to their mom, who has some sort of disease, right? Sure. Fibromyalgia.
We wish to make our mother a blanket. It's very cold in the winter.
It needs to be weighted before she also suffers from anxiety.
They want to make their mom a weighted blanket. That's sweet.
Yeah, but out of Egypt, but the finest Egyptian cotton. And for some reason, they find this one that is a 1,300 thread count Egyptian cotton.
I just want to point out the sentence I just wrote. They find some beautiful fabric for a weighted blanket for their anxious mom.
Dude, that's so nice, and that's one reason that we do this. is so that we can really just pay off.
They're very ahead of their time with the weighted blanket in the 80s.
Yeah, they know what's up.
Yeah.
So they sign this contract that they don't really know what it says, but they want this free fabric. Turns out it is cursed fabric from the one of those pharaohs, and we should have a real pharaoh, but one that's not known very well, that didn't do much.
What if the contract is that it's like, in order to give your mom sleep, you must each give up part of yours. So they each give up like half of their restful sleep, which means one of them only hops beds, one of them only teleports.
Yeah, sure. And they're like, what does this contract say? And then the person just, says it in, obviously perfect Egyptian, and like, I don't know, whatever, I don't care. It's free, right? I'm not paying. So they take it, and they don't really know what happens. But what it's like 20 some years later, is it, or it just happens right away? What do you think?
Let's have it happen right away so that this origin story can take place over a long time span. And when they join up with the team, they're experienced with it.
Love that a lot. Okay. So, and then right away, what happens next is for them, which is going to be the last 2 pages of episode 1 for them, is 1 page dedicated to each of the twins and how they teleport. And we learned that one teleports if they ever fall asleep on this Egyptian cotton. They wake up somewhere else in the world in a bed that has been made fresh.
Okay. It has to be a made bed.
Made bed.
Okay, so once they're found out, the villains have issue a memo to all their underlings where it's like, your beds are no longer to be made when you wake up. Please leave your beds unruly.
Yeah. I don't know. There's gonna be some weird rule.
Yeah, I think it's great.
So and then one now it obviously can't break away completely from gravity because they need to be, I understand that the earth travels through space also while also rotating, so I need them to be locked to the earth movement while also being not locked to rotation. So whatever on the same rotation, whatever that latitude is for however long they sleep. Now the earth is traveling at roughly 1,000 miles per hour, right? And you would think that for every hour they would sleep, I'll be moving 1,000 miles away in the opposite direction of how the earth rotates. So they figure that out, and then by the time we get to like episode 2 or 3 of their story, this one of the twins now sleeps with so much weird stuff crammed in their pockets just in case they oversleep or whatever. And they also now eventually will have a lot of scars because they get beat up. They get beat up a lot.
Love it.
Okay. Do you want to stop here, or do you want to go on for a little bit longer?
We can keep going. I got nothing to do. We can make it last till 5 because we got a late start.
Yeah, sure. All right. Okay. So now the next one. Now this is Manny's best friend.
Okay.
And like I said, I like the idea of these scientists that are trying to work on the idea of, I guess, infinite life. They have found a way to take consciousness from a human and put it into a computer. They figured that out, and they can put it back into that person. They cannot put a consciousness into a dead body.
Okay.
Right? They cannot bring life back. So they can move consciousness, but they have to do it to a live body.
Okay.
Now, they've been experimenting and they figured this out. And there's, how about this? There is a dormant Nazi sect out there that finds out about this technology. And they think that this is a way that they can, if they ever get the next Fuhrer, they'll be able to keep that Fuhrer alive forever. So they want this technology. Now, they talk to these a husband and wife couple, husband. Sex doesn't really matter. I like Mandy's best friend or Manny. Yeah. I like Manny better for some reason.
Okay.
And then if Manny is also short for Amanda, I'm cool with that because I think that's kind of cute.
Amanda or Manuel, either one.
Yeah. Now,
quick question: does Manny and Filbert, do they each have their own individual origin stories? Like, is this an issue for Manny and an issue for Filbert? Or do we need to adjust the numbers from 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1?
No, they have a combined story.
Okay.
Because this is almost like the Dr. Freeze scenario.
Gotcha.
So, like I said, once the Nazis get there, they want the technology. But yeah, these two have the same episode 1. Because I think that we can get around having. Yeah. So, Nazis, neo-Nazis. I know it's been done so many times.
Make them old school, like uniform wearing, Hugo Boss wearing they're the type of people who like obsess over World War II.
Yeah.
Like, well, the Germans would have won if blah 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 blah. It's like, well, yeah, but they didn't because they were idiots.
Or they're like, no, we don't like those Nazis. We're like the 2 years before the war Nazis, when it was all about organization and paperwork and nice outfits.
Bureaucratic
like,
Nazis.
Yeah.
Oh,
Once
God.
the war started, we don't like that. We're into art and high fashion. But anyway, they find
some weird offset Nazi sect.
Yeah, but I don't want them to be. They're not nice. They're Nazis.
No, they're not nice.
Yeah.
We know.
So they come in and they try to bribe the scientists, and that doesn't work. They try to bribe them with like Krugerrands. Was that Russian?
Deutschmarks. I don't know. Is that what they call
Whatever.
them?
I don't know. A lot of things. Well, they can get them from anywhere. They're Nazis. They're crafty little bastards.
Reichsmark is the Nazi currency.
Yeah, and obviously no one wants a Reichsmark these days.
Yeah.
That's obviously way down there. Then they offer them like a ridiculous amount of money, and it's like so much money that they're like, maybe we're on to something. We probably shouldn't do this. Maybe we should even shut this down. Like, let's just stop this. This is too much. For some reason, the Nazis know they're going to do this, and they decide to just go in there and just murder them too. So yeah, that's when they shoot one of the two scientists, and they're dying because they got shot in the spine, and that sucks. Whatever, and whoop, and the conscious goes into the computer, and looking around, not thinking that now the other scientist is going to die. They just grab the dog and put scientist one into the dog. Their last thing they do.
The Nazis do that?
No, the scientists.
Oh, okay.
Scientist 2, unshot scientist, puts shot scientist conscious into the dog. Their last thing, as they see the Nazis holding up those weird Lugerrands. They hold 2 Lugers, snatch style, right? And the last thing the scientist does is put the weird brain scanner on, and then zaps their consciousness into the computer, knowing that the dog saw all that, but can't talk, doesn't know what's up.
Cool.
Nazis, for some reason, just cannot kill a dog, so dog runs away.
Yeah. Even Hitler loved dogs.
Yeah, the hoons. So now this dog is trying to find a way to. The dog's obviously name is Filbert P. Betterman, K9 Esquire.
Sure.
Yeah. Scientists. They thought that was very funny, very very clever. Honestly, back in the 80s or whatever year this was, like, it was really good to name animals very long names. So now their quest is to not only get their body back, but to also get their partner back as well.
Yeah.
Even though both their bodies are now deceased.
I like it.
Okay. Now we have
we've got. Did I count this wrong? Do we forget someone? Oh, we did a combined one for Thread and Thrum, and a combined one for the scientists.
Yeah, that's okay. So we need the mentor character. Now, this is a character that has gone through something, failed enough to not want to do it on their own anymore, but has enough wisdom or knowledge at least to give the team the boost and info they need. What kind of character do you see for that?
Is this the Benjamin Button person?
I mean, it could be, but the problem with that is if they're old, they're like infants.
What if it was reverse Benjamin Button disease, where it's a smart baby, and as they get older, they get dumber?
So it's a very smart baby. Okay. So what, like Baby Herman and Roger Rabbit?
Yeah. Or Boss Baby.
Cool. So they grow. So they have all of. Wow, that's pretty weird. So it's like almost like a time displaced baby, right? Where it has all the information that it's going to get in its entire life at birth. As it ages, it slowly loses information.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. All right, cool. That is cool. And that's why they get together with this team to make sure, like, hey, look, I'm losing information. I need people just to help me out. I'm going to be getting stronger, but dumber. So I'll be part of your team. Oh, that's sad. But yeah.
Well, because Benjamin Button disease is already reverse aging. So you reverse Benjamin Button disease and you've got this really weird situation, which feels like a kid's movie until you think about the implications and you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's called Brad Pitt disease. It strikes one in 8.2 billion people.
Yeah.
All right, so now their story.
What if they're this kid of like a time traveler?
See, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking some kind of like a fourth dimensional sexual deviant. You know?
Yeah.
And
I don't know if I want to finish that name, but time banger.
sounds like a bunch of frat dudes gonna be at. This is a time banger. Like, oh, cool. I'm into that though. So so this person. No,
No.
I like half of this idea.
Okay. What half do you like?
I like the time being manipulated, right? Because if they have all the information at the beginning, then as they're older, they get dumber. And at first, I was thinking like, oh, if this is like an infinitely wise fourth dimensional creature, then maybe it took advantage of this person's grandchild.
Okay.
And that way it like affected things in reverse. But I also don't like rape or sexual harassment to be like a precipice for something. Although Blade has a great idea, but go ahead.
What if it was a woman falls in love with time, and time turns out to be a deadbeat dad, and so this is the kid of a woman and time, and it's like, I'm born kind of knowing everything, but as I get older, I become more human, so I start forgetting stuff. And there's like the first bit, we do another kind of like long-term story where it's like them growing up knowing everything, and then they hit kind of like that peak of physical growth, mental knowledge about the future, and it's like, all right, I have to get people together.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm into that. And that's when they meet them.
Yeah.
That's when they meet the team.
The son of a woman who fell in love with time
with father time.
Father Time
had a kid with Father Time.
Well, your mother used to call me. Well, she never called me father. I don't need to know about that, man.
Well, I'll tell you.
Daddy Time.
You've already told me. Well, you're gonna trust me. You're gonna hear it a lot. Daddy Time. Yeah, sure. Big.
My only revenge, my only way to get back at him was to take that name as my superhero alias. So we're not going to call you Daddy Time.
I'm like Time's stepkid or something.
Yeah. The mastermind who puts the team together when they reach that intersection of physical age and mental knowledge.
Now, would they also know that they're going to get this team together eventually?
I think so.
Like, do they have they have all the knowledge, right? They have all of the knowledge that they're going to have their entire existence, which means they'll know that they're going to get this team together. So then we'll be able to touch maybe Time Kid into the other origin somehow. He's like, trust me, you're going to want this later. And it's like his pager number.
Appears in the other origin stories without our knowledge.
Yeah.
At different ages. And it's like born with absolute perfect foresight and immediately starts losing it. So it's like, I know so much, and as every second ticks on, more time is lost, and I lose more time.
Yeah. Also,
their dialogue is just nonsense time puns like that.
Well, also they do have the restrictions of having a human body, which means they really can't speak until those vocal cords have been formed. So they're like an infant that's trying to get this information out at their beginning of their life, and then I like all that.
Yeah.
Okay, now
those are 5 origin.
Yeah,
issues.
So I like that. So we have those origins, right? And those are all going properly. Now, what other comic book tropes can you think of? Like, what are like the biggest, just weirdest comic booky tropes that you can think of?
It would be really interesting to make everybody's second issue a what if. Just do it immediately, where it's like, where so we are merging characters every issue, right? So 5 issue 1s, 4 issue 2s, where one of those series becomes a buddy series between 2 characters.
Right.
Okay. So I'm assuming it doesn't have to be in the same order. Like, it doesn't always have to be Thrift Punisher. It doesn't, then Lumberjackson, then Thread and Thrum. It doesn't have to be that order every time.
Episode 1s come out the exact same day.
Okay, cool. And then episode 2s all come out on the same day.
Yep, next month. Yep.
It would be really interesting to make issue 2 a what if for everybody, and then at the end reveal that it's I don't know, like it's entirely kid time or time baby being like, Dad, I just don't, this feels like a lot. I haven't met most of these people yet. And it's like, I just wanted you to go in fully known.
I like that. Or maybe rewind a little bit. So they're all what ifs, right? It's all Time Kid telling each one of our other heroes a little too early what would happen if they were like, you know what I mean? And it's like, see, and that's what would happen if you didn't become a superhero. So there, now you know. And they're like, I don't know. I don't think so.
That's a really good way of having Time Kid be the first person to merge into everybody else's issue.
Oh yeah, that is cool. All right, so then we keep 5 issues for the first 2 weeks, right?
I think we go down to
4 no, yeah, you're right.
Because Time Kid doesn't get their own.
Right, Time Kid goes away second week.
Yeah. So Time Kid merges into everybody else's issue and tells them their what if.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, what are you talking about? And Time Kid is like, you're gonna know, I think I forgot this part already.
Yeah.
But I think I do this.
It's like, but you don't like this story, right? So you would think that you would want that to not happen. So that's why you have to follow me now to make this, what I just said, not real.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I love that.
I love this.
Yeah.
Now, considering we've got the first round of issues done, do we want to kind of pause there now that we kind of know what we might be building up to next time?
Yeah, I think that's really cool because that'll give me some time to actually think about it in this fashion.
Yeah.
So I love that. Cool. Okay, I think this is a great place to stop. So once again, thank you guys very much for paying attention to us. We love attention. We love being listened to and spoken at and commented, even if it's some weird emojis or icons that I just really do not understand. Thank you to Sneaking Tooth 50 for that one. What is that? Is that a horse or a bunny?
I think it's...
Is it a teddy bear? Is it a moose?
Breakdancing?
Oh, it's a breakdancing? Okay,
no.
So listen, that's what we do here. What we do is we make up stuff. We create content. We create some media. We like to throw around our weirdly working brains and see what we come up with. So thank you very much. So I don't really know who we got to thank anymore. So I'm not really going to thank anybody. I'm going to thank Dylan Terry, really. Motivating force, really solid rock that somehow still motivates me to move. And that is an interesting metaphor, but I do appreciate you. So thank you to that. We might have a special guest next week. I'm not really sure. By the way, if Dylan wants to, we're going to keep working on this. So tune in next Tuesday, and we're going to go over some weird nerd news and more of this Gods of Avery Place or Averywhere, whatever it is. And Dylan, what do you got, buddy? You got anything to say?
Nah, it's I don't know. Always good to hang and do something with you. And this
Hell
is fun.
yeah.
This is a really fun one. I really like this one so
Yeah,
far.
I like
So,
this one. I wanted to goof it up a little bit.
Yeah, let's
Okay,
do it.
so anyway, I have been Zach. He has been Dylan, and you have been great. Until next time, guys, thank you very much. I love you. Be safe
well
out there.
Bye.
Bye.